right? It was a disciplined way of managing emotions, allowing both joy and hardships, and striving for moderation. You see, it says nothing about the actual body. It's about mind state and how it interacts with where you place it within the world a little bit. That's how I'm concluding from that.
Okay, so just that though, and it was like
Okay.
I had like 3 or 4 thoughts just go ping, ping, ping. Okay, so you remember, I think it was maybe the Victorian era or something,
Mhm.
and they were always like, the doctors were like, she's got bad humors. We have to bleed her
Yes.
in order for her humors to rebound.
Good thing that you said that, because actually this is where it shifted in the early 19th century, right? So in the 1800s,
Okay.
it changed from self-care as a concept through Aristotle days all the way up to that period to self-help. It was an era of self-help, right? Welcome back.
Welcome back
to another episode of Salt
Sauna.
Soul.
All right, Mr. Evans, shall we get our tea started?
Yes, before we get into today's episode, which I'm very excited about, actually.
Okay. Ooh, it's coming off hot.
Ooh, see that steam? I want to let that sit a little bit. I normally dive right into it, but my lips gonna be like,
well,
you hurt me.
Well, let's at least cheers and blow a bit.
This is, I think it's Lemon Whisperer today. Ooh, you can purchase this at EverlyTees.com.
EverlyTees.com.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do we have? I see we have the laptop out. So
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are we discussing today?
So first thing, okay, today's theme is the product of presence, redefining self-care.
Okay.
So it's a self-care topic for today.
Okay.
That we're going to talk about.
Okay.
And how, in particular, how throughout the years, bringing all the way up to modern day, how it actually kind of changed and evolved.
Okay, so the evolution of self-care.
Yes.
And what it means to us, or
we're just exploring. We're going to dabble into that because we got to make it personal. We got to bring it on home.
I mean,
right?
It's what the people want.
This is totally. So this is not some ethereal classes in session kind of situation, but it's more, we're going to bring it home.
All right.
We're going to bring it home. But I did a little research and I found some interesting information and tidbits. But
okay, so that's why you have the laptop.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You see who's the serious one of the group. All right. Because I just read the run and I was like, okay, I am here.
See, I'm trying to bring quality to the people. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to bring the masses something special, and then we show that we put care and love into every episode.
You really do. So. You really do, and I appreciate that.
So, all right.
So where shall we start? Should you start with the history?
We can.
Okay.
We can.
So since you've done this research, let's talk research.
And so first thing was...
Or do we define self-care? Or are we doing that in the course of...
We can do it either way. You know what? You can define. I'm gonna put it on because I got work over here I can put in. So now it's about defining self-care.
Okay, so the way that I think about self-care is things that you do to reset, recharge, reinvigorate yourself. So it could be mental, it could be physical, it could be spiritual, but what combination or specific things that you do to really reset your battery and really fill back up your, either emotional bank account or, charge that engine, get the chakras going.
Okay. Okay.
You know, whatever way you think about it, but
Okay.
it's just how do you recharge?
Okay. Cool. I'm not going to give my particular explanation.
That's
I'm going to let the
not
research.
fair.
I'm going to let the research, say that. Hey, we didn't talk about. Hey, we just started to think about some type of fairness.
It's not fair. He's not being
right?
fair.
I did research, and you didn't do research. So it's like one of the things. Are we going to really play the fair card? Look, let it be. Unless you just want me to say it. You really just want me to say
I
it.
want to know what you think self-care is. Your personal opinion.
I think self-care is very literal as within the term, right? Which is caring, literally doing activities and practices that is focusing on yourself, your overall wellness, right? And that is often have what makes it different than just like moments and captures, times of just things that we do because we just being self-focused, is really that it has a ritual. Often these practices, in terms of self-care, has something that touched on the mind, body, and spirit, right? And it is a regular occurrence of something that you do, right? And part of that is that it does guide you to a sense of better overall well-being. To me, that's how I would define self-care. And it can then be, and it's a very personalized experience.
So I think we're aligned.
Fairly aligned.
Yeah.
Fairly
and
aligned.
how we're interpreting.
Fairly aligned. But I also come from my research that some of how we are aligned might just be rooted in the time and the period in which we are looking at and exploring self-care. Because self-care and the concept overall has evolved and changed throughout the years.
Okay.
And it actually hasn't always been labeled self-care either.
Okay. So then let's dive in. Let's dive in and find out.
So the furthest I can go back to really explore this whole concept about self-care or something related to it goes all the way back to Aristotle, go back to ancient Greece.
Okay.
Okay.
So now I'm thinking Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. We're in phone booth. Got Socrates with us.
So Aristotle practiced. Let me put on my glasses so I'll make sure that, what I'm saying. I look very studious today. Look at that. I'm going to slide it on slow. Boom. Okay? Are you ready? Class is in session.
Have mercy.
Okay. So first, back in ancient Greece, right? So first, they defined self-care was about the practicing happiness through balance. It wasn't indulgence, right? It was a disciplined way of managing emotions, allowing both joy and hardships, and striving for moderation. You see, it says nothing about the actual body. It's about mind state and how it interacts with where you place within the world a little bit. That's how I'm concluding from that.
Okay, so just that though, and I had like 3 or 4 thoughts just go ping, ping, ping. Okay, so you remember, I think it was maybe the Victorian era or something, and they were always like, the doctors were like, she's got bad humors. We have to bleed her in order for her humors to rebound.
Good thing that you said that, because actually this is where it shifted in the early 19th century, right? So in the 1800s, it changed from self-care as a concept through Aristotle days all the way up to that period to self-help. It was an era of self-help, right? What you talking about, the Victorian?
So I wasn't too
like, no, you're not too far.
I didn't do any research. I'm just like how my mind works.
Yeah.
It's like,
not at all. So look at this, right? Self-help meant moral and practicing improvement. Is that not aligned a little bit with what you're talking about, right? Emerson emphasized learning from failures, while Smiles' self-help in 1859 framed it as hard work, education, self-discipline, the path to success, and virtue.
I feel like self-help. So what I'm hearing so far is based on the prevailing, paradigm that people were living in. They we're still looking for ways to give some kind of guidance on, for lack of a better word, how to be normal.
Yes, but also the normal is shifting. So if you really think about it, right, in the 1859, right, around that time period, and shortly after that, right, in about 30, 40 years, what we have, truly we're in the industrial age, right? So we started getting into changes of work and things of that nature. Look what it's saying: hard work, education, and self-discipline.
Discipline keeps coming up across this.
Yes. So to me, I looked at it and I was like, I wonder some of the framing of self-help really was part of a trend as we was changing and the budding of the industrial age as well, and trying to make sense of that. We're not quite fully in industrial age, but these trends, these things are happening. The world is changing, and technology is coming about that is about to change the world as well. And so, in this period, if I'm as a junior historian,
right? I want to kind of think a little bit about this for just a moment, because I could see different paths this could take, and I'm thinking about now versus then versus far history, and how we kind of got to today in how this is shaping. And this is a very Western philosophy focus. And I'm honestly, I'm thinking Eastern as well, with the discipline, with, the different emperors that kind of came into play. And and all of it is still that word discipline keeps coming to mind. You've said it a couple times. And even in the Eastern trains of thought, I'm still man, they were all about the discipline. And so it's that idea of sound body, sound mind, and the aligning of the two, and that kind of resonates with the discipline, which then, again, lack for a better word, creates a normalcy.
And to me, right, your last part where creating normalcy just goes back into my description, which is, how do you create a routine if you don't have discipline?
That's true.
If it's not, right, a thing that that you're working on, you need discipline in order to do that. There's no way of accomplishing it without some measure of discipline.
And I hate when this happens, when you're talking about one thing, but then you internalize it, and you're like, I'm being attacked yet again, and
personalizing everything.
Well.
You feel convicted. You feel judged. You feel.
What had happened was, there was this one time.
Oh shoot.
Okay, I digress.
Okay. Now,
carry on.
Now, for that self-help, right? So in the mid-20th century, self-help started being criticized, right? And so then it was a boom about actually picking at the concept of self-help, right? The meaning by this
was that the whole, there's nothing wrong with me?
You know what I'm saying?
Well, to be different.
Partially, I think, right? He said by this time, self-help was associated with mass-market advice books and media gurus, right?
That's probably about the time The Secret came out, because I remember
shamans and things of that nature and things of that, right? And so it's often meant quick fixes and personal pep talks, seen by critics as shallow and unscientific.
Which isn't where it started. If you go back, because that isn't necessarily discipline. That's a Band-Aid.
Yeah. And so it got really, really attacked in the mid-20th century. So then it gave birth, right? Folks said, you know what? The self-help concept doesn't work. Right? Lo and behold, all of a sudden, self-care came back onto the scene. Right? One, I just think is also better brand.
It's a better word.
Yes, it sounds
better
better
than
and then it's more inviting than, self-help makes you feel like you actually gotta fix something that you're broken. I think how people choose to interpret that, may have also made it led astray. But in the 1960s and 70s, right, with the feminists and the civil rights reframing, self-care came back onto the scene. Self-care shifted to an act of resistance and survival. For women and marginalized groups, it was a luxury. For women and marginalized group, this was seen as a luxury, right? It was about preserving health, dignity, and humanity in the face of systematic oppression, right? Audre Lorde called self-care an act of as a political act.
Okay.
Right? So you see the coins of that, right, a little bit today. Right? We even say with black people, or now I've even heard it as it relates to Palestinians, whatever, it's like our happiness is an act of, you know what I'm saying, is political. Right? Our well-being, right? Because it's often seen that the systems in place is there so oppressively, or marginalize you so, which in turn, makes you feel bad, worthless, and the like. The mere fact that you're trying to take care of yourself, that you're feeling pride in yourself, that you're doing better, is a personal resistance to the very systems that making you counter to that.
I can see how that could be true in certain instances. I can see how that can be true. I think at this moment in history, what we're, the era that we're talking about, I can see how it has expanded the paradigms that it's operating under. And that probably was because with the quick hits, like, say a positive affirmation, you're fine, how you are, kind of thing. I can see how those mass marketed, version of self-help reached a broader audience that then allowed them to be able to kind of think about it deeper. Maybe some of them went back and said, what is it really? Because me just saying this isn't working, or me just doing this one little thing isn't working. But what's the more to it? And that brought it kind of back to self-care. Which then also, because of the climate and situation of that time period, it almost seemed counterintuitive, as you were saying, counterintuitive to what was going on.
Yes, because you got to think about, in order for this whole thing with the feminist movement and about the 60s and the 70s, you have to also acknowledge and give weight to the world and environment that women was living in, and also people and minorities was living in, right? Jim Crow was, a different system, a different thing, right? And so, and then women not having as much movement and liberation in all forms of society, right? And having a voice and agency and autonomy. So I could see, okay, to prioritize, you think about two groups where there are some overlap. I don't want people to get into, I want to parse out my words, but there are overlaps, right? There's black, you know what I'm saying? So forth. That they function in large capacity and servitude for a bigger group of society instead of individually focusing and addressing on themselves. And so it's like the whole concept of like, I get what the luxury line really hit me, because I can really feel like it's a luxury to say, hey, I'm not even gonna even just take time to meditate. Right? Given those populations, when the hell you get time to just focus on you and not be able to something, either serving the family, serving greater society, like get your butt up and do, like, just that seems much like a luxury. And then I could also see the broader world seeing that as a rebellious act, because you're supposed to be doing something else, which is more clearly defined in the roles of those populations, right? And so I can see how that came about, and how one started to want to absorb that as an act of like a political act and a rebellion in that sense.
And what you're saying around, taking the time to do something specific for yourself. I can also see potentially how one could tie this conversation into religion and the role religion played, especially during this time period, for marginalized groups. And that being a way to kind of escape from the day-to-day, and that being a way to refill the emotional bank account, so to speak. So I'm starting to kind of see how all of these things kind of shape, again, which goes back to what I said at the very beginning, whatever the geopolitical kind of like essence of what is happening in the time period shapes how self-care is being viewed. I think that still rings very, very true as we kind of like.
Yes. And then we get a couple more eras, 2 more eras before we get to modern day, right? And so like then self-care took another shift between the 80s and the 90s with the fitness era.
And that was big. What's her name?
Jane Fonda.
Yes. Yes. I
used to do exercise.
Yeah.
You do this for an hour.
Richard, and then
your damn arms. Do this for like 30, 45 minutes. Your arms gonna be burning like hell. And like, right?
Wait, and then Suzanne Summers with the thigh master. I had all that, and then the Buns of Steel, a whole series. I remember when I finally had enough money, I could like save to buy the VHS.
Yes. So.
And then I did it for like one time, and I was like,
I'm good.
That was right there. Set that over to the side. Oh my gosh.
The bubble tennis shoes and whatnot. So self-care became synonymous with physical appearance and exercise. Think aerobic classes, gym culture, and the idea that sweating equals self-improvement. It was less about inner balance and more about keeping it fit and looking healthy. Right?
So now we've moved to the external.
Yes. Which I actually would say that it kind of like that became the dominant one, but it feels like to me, from living through it, that it was more of a dual track system. And like it literally splintered.
Yeah, because you had the hippie group.
Yes.
That was very
and that never changed. And the hippie
healthcare,
whether it's you dealing with the Rastafari, dealing with the peace, love, and so forth, that like it really splintered. And so one hit mainstream culture, one dropped down into the background as a subculture kind of motif or whatever as well. So I think if I had to describe it living through it,
the 80s and 90s, it was definitely a split.
Yes,
because I remember as a kid, before you're supposed to be able to work, but your parents were like, go do something. I worked in like a little health food, naturopathic store. Like, I don't even remember the lady. She went to our church. She had this little shop. And my parents were like, okay, you can go help her stock
very
shelves.
Bohemian.
Yeah.
Interesting scent.
Yeah. Oh,
100%. Folks using alternative to deodorant. And it was stuff like that.
I remember having a salt rock stick, and my mother was like, here, you're going to use this. And I was like, no. How about no? How about I need something to stop the sweat? But yeah, so I remember like that whole phase happening. So yeah.
So it was a dual track system.
It was, but I was playing on both sides at the time.
Pick a lane.
Never. You can't contain me.
And then this was actually quite fascinating that post 9/11, self-care shifted again.
Okay.
It shifted with a little bit of comfort and coping. Right?
I can see that.
In a time of collective trauma, self-care meant finding small ways to feel safe, soothed, and grounded. It was about emotional resilience and coping with fear and uncertainty.
I could definitely, living through that, I could definitely see how that is very true.
Yeah. Right?
Which I think even after the pandemic, that happened again.
I think we are still in a continuation. I think it kind of waned, but now we back into to that cycle as well, a certain amount, with some other caveat, right? And so like in the 2000s, social media had a consumerist wave on a massive scale, right? Often called the hashtag self-care, went mainstream. It came to mean spa days, skin care routines, candles, and curated luxury experiences. An image of wellness tied to affluence and Instagram aesthetics, right? That's from 2000s or so. Now, lastly, and the crazy thing is, actually, I got a facial set up for later on today. I did that. I was like, oh, my acne or whatever. So I'm like, so I am fully in it, you know? I don't care. Men, get your skin taken care of. Women don't like you looking all rough, ashy, breaking out, smelly.
It's true.
Women don't like that. And it's not hard, but like, your skin is the biggest organ on your body. Take care of it.
Well, you enjoy your facial today,
I will.
dear.
That's one of the things I'm gonna do today.
Okay.
Last night I was like, I'm gonna take care of me.
Well, you do that and enjoy it. I am happy for you.
So yeah. So nonetheless, last one, right, which is the 2020s. This is pandemic and modern reclaiming. So as of today, self-care is being redefined as accessible, sustainable, and inclusive. It emphasizes mental health, mindfulness, and small daily practices. The focus is less on consumption and more on nourishment, community, and resilience. So
which I think so when we go back to the Aristotle, where it's like you get your self-care from outside, to today where it's inside but also reflected outside, it feels like it came full circle.
yeah. So from what I just shared, and I wrote up some like lessons from just this evolution.
Okay.
Just the evolution.
Okay.
Not anything outside. From what you just heard, what do you think of some of the main lessons and lessons from this whole evolution? Always from
I don't know.
Aristotle.
I don't know what your lessons were, but I mean, I kind of peppered in some of the things that I was thinking about. You know, just the overall governing geopolitical whatever is happening really ties into how it's viewed and the directions it starts to take. I think the other thing that, from listening to your research, thank you again for doing the research, is when you look at it holistically, it's still the essence of trying to align all aspects of self and creating that balance somehow of whatever that balance, in today's time, whatever the balance means for you.
Yes.
But having that alignment of, mind, body, spirit, and then adding how that interacts with community. I think that's kind of what it really boils down to.
Cool.
I think that was my lesson.
Cool. So, which I think they touch on, but they also, because you were saying about discipline, there's a few through lines, right, as well, that I kind of, after doing the research, I was like, one, self-care always reflects the times, right? Each era redefines self-care to meet its needs, resistance, recovery, or balance, right? Then it shifts between survival and luxury. For some, it's meant preservation. For others, it's consumer indulgence. Context defines the practice. Another one is we crave both structure and softness. Right? We need both discipline and gentleness. True care happens when they meet. Right? Then commercializations can dilute meaning. Market trends can make wellness accessible, risk diluting its deeper purpose. And then lastly, the through line is balance. Across history, self-care has always been about restoring equilibrium within ourselves and with others. I think the final takeaway that I want to put, because I also was like, okay, after I did all this is a lot. And hopefully that everyone that listened to this kind of spend some time and trying to chew on it. You know, I thought this would be a great way to kind of right. Not everybody like history.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to actually sit down and do the legwork. A lot of people, you know what I'm saying, also just go off of feel. But I also like this would be great. I synthesized this in such a way so hopefully it helps with broadening the aperture of understanding for anybody who listens to this and give them some more things to think about, right, in terms of wellness. But also it's like, let me help not only like some lessons on that, but also like maybe like a takeaway about history and how it relates. Because one thing that it has shown from Aristotle to now, that self-care or self-help, whatever term that we use, it will evolve again. And we need to process it. We need to also accept that it is not a steady state thing, and it never will be.
I think it is evolving. Like, what are you even saying now? I think it is evolving as we speak.
Yes.
Because now self-care is turned to me is what this whole biohacking longevity movement is.
Yes.
It's, you know, self-care into aging and what that actually means now. And again, the different layers and of all of that. So I think we're in that shift yet again. And I feel like the shifts are happening faster and faster.
It will be. I mean, I just think, you know, technology is making it so. I think also, you know, the collective, like, I don't, if you think about all these eras until it got to 2010, the globalization really wasn't a thing. These ideas stayed locked in certain parts of the world. We are in a period where all these different thoughts, all these different cultures, all these different expressions are merging and flying at us in multiple different ways, which is a wonderful thing in some regards. So it can be very exhilarating, mind-blowing and opening. It can also be jarring and also can seem like, oh my God, some things are contradicting each other. And in some cases, it is. But not everything is. It's an expounded upon. It's almost like you love quantum.
I love quantum.
You love quantum as a science. You love quantum and the philosophical aspect of it. You like to explore it. And I'm like, you know, the best way I can wrap my head around what be happening as it relates to the speed is that it's almost a quantum thing. We are dealing with.
We found the wormholes.
Okay, see, she always take it too far from me. She always adds some little and make it a bit too far. Okay. So, that everybody, a weird nerdy little something like you, but nonetheless, I'm sorry. I'm gonna talk to you.
I embrace my nerdiness.
That we having these different cultures, different parts of the world, different ideologies all swarm together, like as if they are different whole other thoughts, like in a quantum, like different realities smashed together. And so, yes, there's a lot of movement. So this is the thing, which is greatly to my like takeaway, and then hopefully this is something to like mentally hold in the back of your mind or deep in your heart, so that it doesn't feel so jarring to you, to the audience, to anybody trying to wrap their hands around some of this thing. Is that history of self-care tells us that humans are constantly negotiating what it means to feel whole.
Oh, I like
Culture changes. So does the practice. But the core desire stays the same: to create space for renewal, resilience, and genuine well-being.
Oh, that's so good.
Let that be your North Star as you're trying to make sense of whether it's going on a biohacking, whether you're using Eastern philosophy, whether you're doing, you know, saying Judeo-Christian. Like, let that be to understand that's what we all are striving to throughout, from Aristotle to now. Okay? We just got to drive as human beings for these things, right? What it is to feel whole, and we constantly negotiating. A negotiation is a back and forth. Negotiation has tension. Negotiation have great moments and then crash outs. It means it's just a lot of change and a lot of fluctuation. And that's because we are human. Accept it. Embrace it. You know? And hopefully it doesn't feel as jarring as you figure out your own individual process.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think on that note, I think this is a good pause part.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a great episode.
Yeah. That'll be
excellent research, Mr. Evans.
A little tea on that.
I know, because I've been drinking my tea. You haven't been drinking.
This is my second pour, by the way, ma'am.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. See,
I thought I was ahead
I
of you.
was on it. So another episode down for Salt
Sauna
Soul.
Thanks for tuning in to Salt Sauna Soul, where wellness meets wisdom, one episode at a time. If you found today's conversation inspiring, helpful, or just plain soul-soothing, we'd love it if you'd share it with someone who could use a little more calm, clarity, or community in their life. You can listen and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or watch the full experience on YouTube. Just search Salt Sauna Soul and hit that follow or subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Got a wellness tip, question, or a story of transformation? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us a comment on YouTube or leave us a review wherever you're listening. It keeps the conversation going. This podcast has been powered by Halo Heat Sauna Studios, where touchless wellness meets total restoration. Learn more or book your next session at haloheatsaunastudios.com. Until next time, breathe deep, stay warm, and keep nurturing your soul.